you, or what would you say if you walked into the room and, oh, thank you. And for the first time in my life, I would be speechless. I'm a woman of many words. So I would be speechless. I mean, Jesus, when I was, learning to just, hear the voice of God, and he speaks all the time. And I was driving one day and I just was pouring out, and the Holy Spirit said, "Can I get a word in edgewise?" And I'm like, "Yes, Lord." I'm like, was quiet. So, you guys, I'm just blessed and honored to be up here to share, just to share. I just give you just a quick background of how did I get here with, in speaking on discipleship. I just know that I came back to Ojai about 4.5 years ago, and I was sitting in a church for about 10 years just getting fed. And it was outside of Ojai. And I literally became a fat pew potato. I was just like full of the word. And then the Holy Spirit said, "The harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. Go to Ojai." I'm like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got to go back to Ojai." And it took me about 6 months. I'm a little bit slow in catching on. I'm much better now. I say, "Yes, God, send me, Lord." But I came back to Ojai, and I prayer walked to church, and God just told me, that's where I'd be planted. And, God is it's been amazing. But my heart has always been kind of to unite people, unite the churches, the walls come down. And so I've been coming here for, I want to say at least 3 years, praying like on Wednesdays. And I was even though I was going to another church, I've been part of Sisterhood for the last couple of years. I'm like, is that legal? Yeah. And, yeah, it is, So when God had me come here, and I think it's probably been maybe about 6 months, it was just such a beautiful thing how he honored. I stayed, and I'm like, "Lord, I feel more myself here. These are my people. We're all our people, but it's like you got an arm and a leg, and I grew up Catholic. I would consider myself, I've been Baptist, Calvary Chapel. And then in the last couple of years, I've been charismatic, and I'm an on-fire Pentecostal. I'm like, God is just doing it. I'm like this whole mismatch. All of this comes together. And I believe God's he's using that because I can step in and say, yeah, I relate. I relate that because I don't think he wants us, to say, this is who I am. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But when he called me back, one of the things he has said for the last couple of years, I want you to open your home and let him come in. And I'm like, ooh, I'm not that comfortable doing all that stuff. And, and it took me a while. It really took me a while. And as the Lord put on my heart, and this is kind of crazy because Michael Dalton, if any of you are familiar with Michael Dalton, he gave me a word. I think it was about 3 years. I didn't even know prophets existed about 3 years ago. I was taught that apostles and prophets, that was just, they're done. And Michael Dalton comes, and I was up at the Royals' house, and they spoke over me. It was him, and there was a couple other guys, and they said, "I see Hollywood over you." And I said, "Oh, no. And so I began to pray for people in Hollywood. And little did I know that I would be hosting kids every month from Hollywood. So last night, I had 8 new kids over at my house, 8 I've never met before, and then the kid, I brought him to church on Sunday. He's my spiritual son, and he's from Hollywood too. And they came from all over, and I just invited them in. We ate a meal, sat around the table. They shared I wanted to know about them. They shared their testimony, and then we did worship, and we just began to pray over each other and share. And God had asked me a couple of things. One was, what does it mean to count the cost? And what does it mean to stand? And if those two are together. And so, man, I have to tell you, it was just It was an amazing night. I let 3 of the kids spend the night, and the rest left, and that's kind of what that's one of the things I've been doing, and that's part of that discipling. But what I asked the Lord, what does it mean to disciple others? And I'm going to share some stories, but of course, what's the first thing that comes up? The Great Commission. Jesus came and told his disciples, I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you, and be sure of this, I am with you even to the end of the age. And that where it says nations, that means peoples. It's not just, I remember early on when Heidi Baker said, give me Mozambique, that's a nation. And I'm like, I read through, I think it was Psalm 2. And I felt like the Lord, what do you want? Give me nations, give me young adults. I'm like, give me, and I'm just like, that's my heart. And I've been a college professor for years, 27 years, and I love young adults. They're like, it's like kids to me. And so that's been my absolute heart. One of the things I'm going to share tonight is I can teach what I know, but I impart what I live. And I just believe we're going to have an impartation tonight. And I know God's going to touch. And I don't know, it's probably nothing I'm saying, but it's what he is saying. And one of the things, and I am guilty of this, that we have been discipled by our nation. A lot of the nation a lot of the world has gotten into the church rather than discipling the nation. I believe we're coming into a time where we're going to disciple, and we're going to send them out to their influence. Don't let them sit. We send them. Just like Isaiah, he encountered the Lord, and then what did the Lord say? Who will go? And he said, send me. So I believe this is a time of gathering, and it's been a time of rest. It's been a time of war. I mean, most of you know, in the spiritual realm, it's been such a war. But I believe we're coming into a season and an era. It's going to be new. God's doing something new that he's never done before. And we don't want to be offended. And God will offend our mind to get to our heart. And I tell you, I've been offended. A couple years ago, you guys, I came down to, it was at a house, and the leader said, you got a spirit of fear on you. And I'm like, how does he know that? I'm struggling with fear. He laid his hand on, I don't even know what he said. I think he said, fear be gone. I went down on the floor for an hour. I didn't believe in people being slain in the spirit. I didn't believe any of that, but God did a work on me. While I was down on the ground, I'm like, I couldn't get up. You guys, I couldn't move. I'm in the front. They're like continuing on, and I'm literally cemented to the ground. And I'm like, God, I'm a college professor on the front, and I can't move, And when I would stop fighting, the peace of God, like I've never felt my entire life, came over me. And I would just stay in there. I'm like, whoa. And then I'd fight again, like 10 times. And finally, at the very end, probably after about an hour, the Lord spoke to me, and he says, are you willing to look foolish for me? Are you willing to be undignified for me? And I just was at this place where I'm like, yes, Lord. And that began a change in my life. It was a radical change. And then I got up, I crawled over to the side. The whole thing was over. And the lady was from New Orleans. She's like, darling, you had the kabod glory of God. And I'm like, what's the kabod glory of God? And she goes, that's just a weightiness presence of God. I'm like, huh? And then she goes, you contact me, come back in a week, because God's doing something in you. And so I left this building, just meeting these people. I spent the entire night up looking up kabod, what kabod meant in the Bible, because that's the way I am. I'm like, what is this? 17 times it's the weightiness of the glory of God. So that began a journey of me is, God, offend me. Offend me. If you need to get to my heart, I allow you to offend me. And so, yeah, that's been one of the things in my heart. So like I said, we've been really good with making converts, but not disciples. Okay, converts will flee when persecution hits. When persecution comes, they're gone. disciples will stand. And we need generations, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation that's going to stand among the fire, among persecution, among when the world is looking crazy like it is right now. We need these people to stand. We need to stand. And so I just feel like that's part of that discipleship process. When they are so rooted and grounded in their identity of who they are, and they know the purpose that God has called them, that they'll be able to walk in it. They'll be able to walk through fires. They'll be able to walk, be in the fire, because as Matthew 28 says, I will be with you to the end of the age. That's one thing. God's been calling me to some gnarly things. And then he just says, I'll be with you. It's like whenever he says that to me, I know he's sending me into an impossible situation. Totally. When he goes, I'll be with you. And I'm like, oh, crap. What am I going into? So, but I give him my yes. I'm just in this surrendered place where he's got my yes. He's got my yes, even if it costs my life, even if it costs my reputation, even if it costs my job, which I'm going through right now. I'm not, I'm laid down. I've given him everything. And then I'm like, you have my yes, God. Whatever it is, I will go. So one of the things I wanted to read is from Jeremiah 1:10, and it says, today I appoint you to stand up against nations and kingdoms. Some of you must uproot and tear down, destroy and overthrow. Others you must build up and plant. And we know we can take that as, I know with my prayer, my gals I pray with, we're tearing down, the enemies, the devil's platforms, and we're doing a lot of things in prayer. We're going to battle because that's our first line. We armor up and we pray and then we go. But I believe we're coming in a time to build and to plant. And what are we needing to build and plant? And God keeps bringing me to Nehemiah. When they built that wall, they had a sword in one hand and a tool in the other. And I feel like we're in that time. And then there was Sanballat, Tobias. They just kept distracting him. Come down, come down. He goes, no, I got to do the Lord's work. And we're in such a season of distraction where the enemy is trying to get us distracted. He's trying to get us divided. He's trying to get us to fight among each other, vaxxed, unvaxxed, masked, no mask, this, that. He's trying to get the church at war, because if he can do that and we're divided, we're done. We're absolutely done. So one of the thing when I started this, when I was, Josh and Joel, they asked me to teach on this. I asked God, what do you want to say? And the word he kept saying is unity. He kept saying unity. And I'm like, and John 17. And so I'm just going to read. It says, I pray that they will be one, just as you and I are one, as you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they all be in us, so that the world will believe you sent me. I have given them the glory you gave me, so that they may be as one as we are one. And I am in them, and you are in me. May they experience such perfect unity that the world will know that you sent me, and that you love them as much as you love me. And then I wrote it also out in the Passion Translation. I've been reading a lot in the Passion Translation. I use it kind of like, I love the footnotes, and there's a lot of passion in it. So it says, I pray for them all to be joined together as one, even as you and I, Father, are joined as one. I pray for them to become one with us, so that the world will recognize that you sent me. For the very glory you have given me, I have given them, so that they will be joined together as one and experience the same unity that we enjoy. You live fully in me, and now I live fully in them, so that they will experience perfect unity, and the world will be convinced that you have sent me, for they see that you love each one of them with the same passionate love that you have for me. And one of the notes in there it really rocked me. And it was talking about, it says, an important note, the key to unity among believers is experiencing the glory of God that Jesus has imparted to us. As one with God through faith in Christ, he shares his glory with us. Since we are not another, but have been made one with the triune God through the blood of Jesus. And the other part of that in the very end, where it says we experience perfect unity, it means to shrink into one. And when we see Jesus in one another, our vaulted opinions of ourselves shrink. And I was that really wrecked me. That really wrecked me. There's a couple of verses in Acts, like when Paul, and I looked up some of the words, and I'm like, this means disciple. And it says in Acts 14:22, it says, at each place they went, they strengthened the lives of the believers and encouraged them to go deeper in their faith. And they taught them, it is necessary for us to enter into the realm of God's kingdom because that's the only way we will endure our many trials and persecutions. And it talks about the kingdom realm, and that translation, it's not a future kingdom, but a kingdom realm that is presently accessible. We have full access on earth as it is in heaven. We are to bring the kingdom here. We carry the kingdom in each of us. And for me, it's been just, kind of like one of those emojis where your mind just blows, and I'm like, yes, Lord. And the other one is Acts 18:23. It says, where he went, he encouraged and strengthened the believers. And that can also, in the Aramaic, be translated, wherever he went, he made them all disciples. And I just thought, that's what we are to do, to encourage and strengthen the body. We are to continue meeting. And I know we can meet in church, but to go outside, I just keep seeing the walls come down off the church and the meeting of outside, in homes, in coffee shops, in parks. We continue to meet. And that's what they did in Acts. They met, they broke bread together, they did life together. And so that has been, that's kind of been one of the things. How do we go deeper? And God I've read this like every day for the past 2 weeks. I can't even get past it. And it's Proverbs 4:21-23. It's how do we go deeper? It says, fill your thoughts with my words until they penetrate deep into your spirit. Then as you unwrap my word, they will impart true life and radiant health into the very core of your being. So above all, guard the affections of your heart, for they affect all that you are. Pay attention to the welfare of your innermost being, for from there flows the wellspring of life. And that's in the Passion Translation. And the heart actually means in Hebrew, it actually includes our thoughts, our will, our discernment, and our affections. And so, what we behold, we become. And so what we feed on. I know in the past year and a half, I've gone from, I can't watch TV. I don't do well on the news. I actually, I know I've allowed to Denise and Rachel to give me some news so we can pray into it, because I watch it and it brings up anxiety in me. And I'm like, God, I can't. I need to have that clarity, and I need to focus on what you've called me to focus on, and, let me know what I need to know, and then I'll pray into it. Because I was getting all wrapped up, and the next thing you know, the world's getting bigger, it's more evil, it's darker, and God gets smaller, and it's like, no, we got to keep our eyes on him. We totally have to keep our eyes on him. And one of the other verses, and I just feel like this is part of the discipleship, is we all have a mandate. And I feel like it's out of Isaiah 61. And I have it in the Passion on this one too. The Spirit of the Lord Yahweh is wrapped around me, because Yahweh has anointed me as a messenger to preach the good news to the poor. He sent me to heal the wounds of the brokenhearted, to tell the captives you are free, and to tell prisoners, be free from your darkness. I am sent to announce a new season of Yahweh's grace and a time of God's recompense on his enemies, to comfort all those in sorrow, to strengthen those crushed by despair who mourn in Zion, to give them a beautiful bouquet in the place of ashes, the oil of bliss instead of tears, and the mantle of joyous praise instead of the spirit of heaviness. Because of this, they will be known as mighty oaks of righteousness, planted by Yahweh as a living display of his glory. And do you know that the mighty oaks of righteousness, the oak, it's a hardwood, we got a lot of oaks here. It's a hardwood tree, and it's used to make yokes for oxen, and it symbolizes strength and might, or mighty men, stability, conviction, uprightness, resoluteness. It can also mean, I can't even pronounce, but it's called Quercus caperennianus. It's known as the Palestine oak. And that there's a Palestine oak that's not far from Hebron that was estimated to be 850 years old. Oaks of righteousness points to a godly, spiritual, mature people who will know the righteousness of God and walk in it. Jesus is the tree of life. And we have him in us, so we have the tree of life in us. He multiplies himself in us so that we become trees of righteousness, and a tree becomes a forest. That's discipleship. That's discipleship. We replicate what we live, and we bring others around. We can't do this in isolation. And one of the things God showed me, because the first time I started doing this, I'm like, I don't have my crap together. I have issues. I've been in counseling. Lord, I don't have it all together. I haven't gotten all cleaned up. I haven't reached that point. And it's messy. It's messy. But it's beautiful. I mean, you guys, I had never witnessed. I've been a Christian for like 17 years. I've never led anyone to Christ. I've never, and in this past year, oh my gosh, we had a girl come to the house that was an atheist. My daughter invites, my youngest daughter, she invited all these college girls, and it was during the summer. And we did this little video on how to hear the voice of God. Well, she didn't even believe in God. She's an atheist. And so, but she just was being nice and did that. And so we had to spend this time, 7 minutes thanking God, and then we spent another 7 minutes quiet, listening for what he has to say. And then we all gathered up. Well, when we gathered up, she goes, I didn't hear anything. But then she just starts bawling. She goes, but I feel so much love. And that night she gave her life to Christ and we baptized her. Yeah, we got a swimming pool. My daughter's baptized more people in the darn pool than, I have not yet. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I'm just I'm witnessing, and it just brings joy to my heart. It gets a little uncomfortable. I got to clean up and make food, and and the beautiful thing is my husband, who's come along, he comes right along and he makes the food, and he sits and he listens to these kids. And I've watched him, and it's been such a beautiful thing, because the other day, someone in this church said, oh, Matt, my husband, he'll never come to church. That day he showed up. I didn't even know he was there. People were texting me. I was up here in the front. They're like, your husband's at church. I didn't know till afterwards. And he came. And then he told me, he goes, I cried. God's doing a work. God's doing a work. So he's doing an amazing work. A couple things I wanted to share too is, I'm not going to cover everything, but some of the people you'll disciple may betray you. You guys know Jesus with Judas. But then he had John the Beloved. He had all the others, And so we have to take chances. When we open up our hearts to others, there's a chance of getting hurt. There's a chance of being betrayed. There's a chance. But, God will walk us through that. And He works everything together for his good and his glory. So that's one of the things, Sometimes we can be paralyzed by fear and not step out. Because I just know that each one of you are called. You can say, I'm too old to disciple. This generation's so far different than me. But guess what? You know what? These kids are so hungry. And just us investing a little bit of time, and I call them kids. I mean, a lot of the kids are, late 20s, early 30s, and I still call them kids. So, but yeah, and it's not necessarily, but it's even, you can disciple someone your age. You can disciple someone older than you. Age doesn't have the whole thing. I've had kids where they're in their 20s and they're so on fire for God. And, I'm like, they're discipling me. And that's one of the things I find, and I use that word mentor too. I've taken some of these kids under my wing, and they have that they have that access. They can text me late at night. They've got that access, and none of them have abused it. But they know, I've had, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire. Can you pray for me? Well, I'm not going to go drive down to San Clemente and change their tire, but I'm going to pray. God, bring someone. So yeah, and it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I want to read this. Jesus said an important statement to his disciples. He said, "Learn this well. Unless you dramatically change your way of thinking and become teachable and learn about heaven's kingdom realm with the wide-eyed wonder of a child, you will never be able to enter in. Whoever continually humbles himself to become like this gentle child is the greatest one in heaven's kingdom realm." And I just like, how do we learn about the kingdom realm is become like a child. Just the awe and wonder of God, the ability to learn. Last year in February, I did a sozo. It was one of my first sozo, and it was sozo stands when Jesus said, when we were saved, it's that word sozo, and it doesn't mean just saved. Like we're saved, we're going to heaven. It also means to be healed and delivered. And I've just learned about this. It's a complete healing. It's a wholeness. And I went and I did that. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I'm like, I'm going to try one of these, because my younger daughter did it. We went together, and I'm like, I'm going to try it. But one of the things at the very end, the Holy Spirit said to me, "You've been a teacher. You're going to be a student now." And little did I have any idea. I'm now a full-time student at BSSM. I'm just starting my second year, and I'm like a little kid. I'm with a lot of little kids. There's some older people, but I'm just learning, and I'm excited. And I realized one of the words I was given when I was a brand new Christian, I had an injury in my foot, and this group of friends took me to the healing rooms, and I had never been to anything like that. And so we're at the healing rooms, and I'm like, they're going to pray over my foot, and they gathered around and they prayed for my foot. And then this gentleman pulls me away, and he said to me, "You're going to intercede for nations." And I'm like, what does intercede mean? And what about nations? I've never been out of the United States. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, fast forward almost, 16 years later, I've been interceding for nations. And God is so good. He is so good. And just just walking in, in obedience. And that was kind of a wild thing. But one of the words is God conceals the revelation of his word in the hiding place of his glory. But it's the honor of kings is revealed how they thoroughly search out the deeper meaning that God says. So it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, the glory of kings to search out. God has so many hidden treasures. Right? He wants to reveal so much to us. We just need to come to him, sit with him, dive deeper. For me, it's like I need to shut up for a while, be quiet, and just really sit in his presence. And the other thing is, God is about to, he kept bringing me back to Isaiah 6. God, you're about to release your glory. It's not for us to sit and glory in it. It's for us to arise. So I feel like we're in this season where God's going to call you, and we're going to walk. Some of you are like, okay, I'm going to go do this. Okay, I'm going to open my house, or I'm going to go call that person and meet him at the coffee shop. You have no idea, just sitting with someone, that their life could be radically changed just by us taking that time and discipling. But discipling takes investment. It takes time. It takes it's a lot of it's a lot of pouring out and giving, and that's one of the things. The last word was it's John 15, that he is the vine. He is, I am the true sprouting vine. The farmer that tends the vine is my Father, and we are the branch. He's the branch. We are the vine. We need to be connected to him, and everything comes out of intimacy. So I like to think of, if I'm going to try and pour into a lot of kids, I need to have something to pour out. And so that's that secret place. That is, for me, it's like a coffee pot. I got to be plugged in. I got to be plugged in, heated up, warm. You don't want cold coffee, but like on fire is even better. Stir up the faith. And that's pretty much it. So, all right, thank you.